Are now facing the final hours of the US military presence in Afghanistan. It's just past midnight in Afghanistan, which means we are now in August 31. Evacuation flights are winding down after the US was forced to intercept rocket attacks on Kabul Airport, and hope is fading for any American citizens who are left in the country. Let's go live to Washington now. We're joined by our correspondent, Annalise Nielsen. For all the latest details, Annalise, there's still the real risk of another attack in the final 24-hour period.
There is indeed, Pete, especially after those 5 rockets were launched at Kabul Airport. A counter-rocket system managed to take them out before they hit their target, but it shows just how precarious the situation is as they draw down these final moments. Now, the US has confirmed that in the 24 hours to 3 a.m. today to 3 a.m. yesterday, they managed to evacuate another 1,200 people, but that's certainly a much smaller amount compared to what we've seen over this entire process, which has seen 116,700 people evacuated either by the US or by their facilitative mission since August 14. What the Biden administration has been deliberately opaque about is that exact withdrawal time, whether that's midnight on August 31 or a bit earlier, to try and clear the time so there's no potential overlap. The press secretary, Jen Psaki, was asked about that this morning.
I'm not going to get into operational details of when we will continue our retrograde efforts. That's led by the Department of Defense and our team on the ground.
Annalise, one of the significant security concerns now is the arsenal of weaponry that the US military has left behind in the hands of the Taliban.
And Pete, you can understand they're not being too specific about exactly what they've left behind, but fair estimates are that it's at least in the billions of dollars worth of weaponry. The Times has done a collaboration of what they believe from different reports from the government would have been left behind. That includes 22,174 Humvees, 8,000 trucks, 169 armoured personnel carriers or tanks, 358,530 assault rifles, 126,000 pistols, 64,000 machine guns, 33 Mi-17 helicopters, 33 Black Hawks and 43 MD-530 helicopters. Now, it's worth noting that much of that machinery would be beyond the capabilities of anyone in the Taliban, considering at best estimates they're about 50% literacy rate. But the significant risk there is who they might be able to sell those weapons to. And it's been a huge propaganda boom for the Taliban. These have been circulating on social media for about a week now, videos, photos of the Taliban with this sophisticated weaponry. And the US has said that they did undertake some missions to destroy some of that capability before they left, but they're not being specific about how much of that was undertaken.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
The U.S. military, part of their retrograde effort is to reduce the amount of military equipment or apparatus that anyone on the ground has access to. I'm not going to get into the details of how they do that, but that is part of their effort.
That's still not instilling a great amount of confidence in many who are observing this withdrawal. The Republicans are becoming increasingly fired up, suggesting impeachment potentially of the president himself as well as the Secretary of State. They simply don't have the numbers in Congress to make that happen. But this is going to put a lot of political pressure on Joe Biden, who again avoided answering questions on this.
It'd be very interesting to see what happens following the midterms. Then you might see the impeachment push ratchet up a few gears. Yeah, Annalise, that's really interesting stats. The country basically awash with weaponry at the moment.